This class is concerned with the theory of bureaucracy. This is one of the classical theories. It can be put in place with theories like scientific management and the administrative theories of Fayol. So this would be the last of the big three of the classical approach to management. It was put forward by the German sociologist Max Weber, who saw bureaucracy as the ideal organizational form. Now, this is interesting because in his book, The Theory of Social and Economic Organizations, Weber proposed that bureaucracy was the most appropriate administrative form of organization to promote the efficient pursuit of organizational goals. So Weber was suggesting that bureaucracy is good. It's the ideal form of organization to promote efficiency and promote the organizational goals. Now this, of course, is in stark contrast to what we associate with bureaucracy nowadays. In everyday language, we describe something as bureaucratic almost as a term of abuse. It's an insult almost. Bureaucratic seems to have come to mean undue process. It means very long waiting times where many processes, unnecessary processes, are undertaken. Administrators have systems which involve a lot of paperwork or computer work which is unnecessary. Records are kept unnecessarily. It involves filing and retrieving information, and it's not efficient in our minds. And yet, to Weber, this was the ideal form of business organization. And I suppose every organization must have some degree of paperwork or computer work nowadays, filing and retrieving information and set procedures and processes. So to some extent all organizations are bureaucratic. But we think of it nowadays as sometimes bureaucratic organizations as large, complex and very inefficient organizations. Whereas Weber was suggesting that all organizations, large and small, the ideal form of business organization is bureaucratic. So the word has come to mean different things. Weber considered bureaucracies to have the following characteristics. He said they are highly specialized and based on their functions. Well, they are highly specialized. Bureaucracies tend to be aimed at a particular task. To complete the task, several procedures must take place perhaps, and these procedures must be signed off and agreed, and there must be some sort of checking mechanism to make sure that the procedures have been done correctly, and so on and so on. So they are highly specialized. And they are based on function. They're based on some particular set of tasks. They're also hierarchical. This means that they are well defined and there is a chain of authority going all the way back perhaps to the managing director or the chairman or the CEO or whatever he or she is called. And the bureaucracy is a bit like a pyramid. It goes to the top. It goes to the apex. It goes to the CEO or whoever. That is the person where it starts. And I suppose that's the person where it ends as well. That's the person who requires information and it goes down the system, and the information will filter its way back up through the organization. But it doesn't mean that the CEO is the only person who wants it. Bureaucracies may be there providing services to the public, and the public need access to the information, or procedures relating to many customers or many different people. They would need to have some sort of dealing with the bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy is designed to satisfy that function and to do it in this particular manner. Bureaucracies tend to be impersonal in the sense that duties are carried out according to set procedures rather than personal whims. So the bureaucracy almost has a life of its own. The task must be completed. As to who completes the task is irrelevant. The task must be completed. It's the task that is important. It is completing that part of the whole system that is important to keep the system moving. So it is impersonal. And there is status and authority within the bureaucracy, which is based on merit and qualifications to undertake the task. Efficient workers working within the bureaucracy, who perhaps have built up expertise in performing specific tasks, perhaps that expertise has been built up from learning by doing. They have done the task many, many times, perhaps thousands of times in their working life, and hence they are very skillful in performing those tasks. So the status and authority of the person within the bureaucracy is normally based on merit and qualifications. And bureaucracies tend to run like that. There is normally, within any aspect of the bureaucracy, there is normally some people who are particularly skillful about how the system works, and when there is a fault with the system, they are the ones who can most easily rectify the fault. So, status and authority. Now let's look at Weber on bureaucracies. Well, bureaucracies have the attribute of consistency. They have formal rules and procedures, and these are administered consistently. So the system will not work if it's not consistent. If the procedures are not followed exactly as set out, then the system will break down. So they maintain written records, and these reinforce the consistency of the administration. So at each level, they're taking responsibility for that level, and then they move the issue to the next, perhaps, department, and the next department will take responsibility from their own. There is consistency between them, that the paperwork that's necessary, or nowadays the communications, perhaps the computer communications, that it's necessary to move the task on must be completed, and it must be completed in a standard form so that the information can easily be retrieved. So there is consistency. There is also authority within the bureaucracy. It's based on position rather than personality. So the bureaucracy does not mind as to the status of the person. It minds as to the status of the person within the bureaucracy. It is that person's capacity to complete the task that is important. And the more skillful workers are the ones who presumably will be promoted within the bureaucracy, and they're the ones who have the authority. So it's not based on the personality of the workers. It's based on, or it should be based on, according to Weber, on their ability to maintain that level of the bureaucracy and process the tasks that are required of it, and do so consistently and efficiently. Bureaucracies are characterized by the separation of ownership from control. That means the individuals within the organization control the organization. The bureaucracy controls the organization. And the ownership, who may be more interested in setting strategic objectives, they are a separate, perhaps, bunch of people. But the efficient running of the organization requires the bureaucrats. Now, this little session, a short session, this session gives us an idea of the origins of bureaucracy and Weber's view of bureaucracy, which was very positive and very partial, very prone to the use of bureaucracies. I don't think he saw an alternative. Organisations are bureaucratic. It's the degree of bureaucracy, I suppose, that really has got it a bad name, or possibly a bad name, in the current century and in the last century. For Weber, bureaucracies were logical. They were an ideal form of organisation. And as I said, that contrasts starkly with what we imagine. But we have to admit that all organisations are bureaucratic to some extent. They all keep records, they all process information, they all have set tasks and ways of doing things, doing the job. But that's our take for the moment on Max Weber and on bureaucracies. That's all I want to do in this session. So thank you for watching.